welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown, and you already know I got my guy, my co-pilot on this Devy Darlings scene, Mr. Dino, aka Mr. Get It Done. How we doing tonight, buddy?
Not too bad. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I know I said it once. I'm gonna say it again. I'm digging these intros, man.
I appreciate that. Like I saw your head bobbing in the green room when it came on. I'm like, I had to go a different way with it.
Yeah.
Change it up. But I think this guy kind of changes it up, goes different way than what we've been talking about lately. This wide receiver we talked about today is South Carolina commit, the freshman this year, Mazeo Bennett. I'm gonna break it down real quick for you. 5'11", 108 pounds, out of Greensville, South Carolina. He did go to Greenville High School. He's a four-star recruit. Wide receiver 45 in the class, top 300 overall, right? This guy was a 4A All-State team, 4A championship. He's a special teams guy. He had over 335 yards, kick returns, 25.8 yards every time on an average, and he had a touchdown. And from what I've heard through the grapevine and through quotes from current QB Lenora Sellers, he's picking up the Logan Darlings offense very quickly, which is nice to see. But let's talk about his time at Greenville High School. Dion, talk to us.
Yeah. So sophomore year at Greenville High School, he had 25 receptions, 660-ish yards, 5 touchdowns. Junior year really picked it up, increased it to 47 receptions, 857 yards, 14 touchdowns through the air. But then he also ran it 20 times for 221 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then senior year, 31 receptions, 541 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. And then 29 attempts, 332 yards, and 10 touchdowns on the ground. So not too shabby.
Yeah. Now Greenville, for those out there, they run like a wildcat style system. So he was in the wildcat offense, in the shotgun, and this guy was all over the field, out wide, running the ball. But they're a top program out in South Carolina. I mean, I know it's 4A, but they're a top tier team in their division. And this dude, he's a jack of all trades. Just everywhere you looked, he was lining up. And he didn't even play a little defense for them in his last 2 years as junior and senior year. Now, he had 20-plus offers. He originally committed to Tennessee for the Vols in October 16th on 2022. Then he decommitted exactly 60 days later on December 16th, 2022, and ended up committing to South Carolina on February 3rd, 2023. He was highly recruited from Justin Steep. He was the guy, working, pulling the strings. He's the guy that recruited a wide receiver you may know, and Traylon Burks, and he was a major factor in getting Trey Knox over from Arkansas. I mean, Alabama recruited him. Again, like you said, committed to Tennessee. Kelsey Pope was a major player in that, and we spoke in the green room. I really think that Mike Matthews commit was kind of like, I'm good. Penn State was in on it. Virginia Tech, Michigan State, Florida, Liberty, Texas A&M, Auburn. They were small. But he was a highly recruited guy. And like I said, committed to Tennessee, ended up going to South Carolina. And I think this guy's going to have success in South Carolina because of things that I've seen. Natural pass catcher, okay? Good length. He's versatile with his length and size, which he can play outside and he can play the slot, right? Pete Weber will be proud of this guy, the way he sets up DBs and knocks them down. He got that top of the route release, man. You think you got him, and all of a sudden, boom, gone. High points the fell well. He doesn't that's the catch. He's got that. And Elmer's glue. He's got elite hands. If it touches him, he ain't dropping him. What do you see on the screen?
Yeah. So first thing I saw is this smooth release off the line of scrimmage. He's not all over the place trying to. Some wide receivers just look silly coming off the line. Him, it's just one natural, smooth release. Like you said. Good catch radius. No matter where the ball is, he's going to go there because he's got elite hands. And with that, he makes the tough catches look super easy. One thing I did notice that really popped out to me is his yak. Whether it's in small dink and dunks or bomb down the field, he's going to get his yards no matter what.
Yes, sir.
And then one thing that did stick out to me, he's got really smooth in and out of his routes. But there may be an instance, 1 or 2 times that I saw it where it did kind of look like he did decelerate. I mean, and that's just fine picking here or there too. So I don't think that would be something to totally worry about, but it may be there. But like I said, that's nitpicking.
Yeah, I mean, split in hairs. And I
Yeah.
saw her. It might have been like you said, maybe once or twice. But I even said it to you, like I feel like if he was still at that full speed the whole time, Stevie would have been gone. It wouldn't even been involved in the play. Uh, it kind of brings, like I said, so he has size to him, like 180, right? He's 180. He's almost 6 feet. He's got room to grow. Obviously, he's probably 5 feet. I would think, right off the rip. But then I don't know. Will he lose the speed there, or will he keep up? His speed. I don't know if he has 4.4 speed, or or 4.5 speed. But I think this guy has potential to be wide receiver one for the Gamecocks. We were looking at a room that only had one 1,000-yard receiver, and behind him, I mean, 300 yards next to tight end. Granted, right? Right. There's a lot of movement. They brought in Gage Laverdine. They also brought in Gerard Brown from Coastal. But I mean, Laverdine is unfortunately, I'm not knocking it. He's a one-hit wonder. We had one big year from Miami High, and then he moved on. Gerard Brown had been a consistent guy with Grayson McCall. So, but there's a chance here with a new guy who's mobile, where there could be some targets for him to eat up. And if he starts to pick it up, remember I said he is a special teamer, so he's going to get on the field and get it. If he starts grooving and being like a little spark plug for them, there's a chance in this offense they have a very tough schedule. There's a chance they're going to be out of games early. They're going to try different things, workmen. I don't know if they're going to burn a red shirt on him or not, but if he's the guy that pops, why not? This is the guy in your fantasy leagues early on. He could be a dude you stash early, and all of a sudden come later on in the season, the playoffs, this guy's popping for you. Mazeo Bennett, remember the name. I really think this kid is going to be something for Gamecocks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, him and Sellers, I think, have a chance to really click right away, seeing how they're both young guys. And yeah, I mean, you got to put him on the field, even if it's just special teams to start off with, because he's pretty electric, returning kicks and punts. And I do think, like you said, that's going to be the way that people are like, okay, this is what we really got. Let's see what else he can do.
Yeah, you got they upgraded the backfield, right? So you have Adaway the third. You also have Rocky Raheem. He could be this sneaky slot guy that just runs these little close routes where everybody's playing tight, close on the play action. All of a sudden, this guy's boom, and he gets a little scream and he's gone, right? So I think his capabilities, his jack of all trades, where he can just be anywhere, will help him in this lineup. All right, let's get to our play comps. I'm gonna let you go first on this one. I have a funny feeling you're gonna kind of be out in left field when I throw these. Gonna be like, really, those two guys? But you can go first.
Yeah. So my first one, watching his tape, first thing I saw was him leveling DBs on his high school tape, and immediately that physicality sort of wide receiver screamed to me, and that's Jarvis Landry. He was tough nosed at LSU, his early days too, not afraid to scrap with the DBs, but then also he had that smooth release like we talked about coming off the line. Him and OBJ had crazy catch radius. And then my second one, kind of pulled it out of nowhere watching him, who he reminded me, and that was Speedy Noel from Texas A&M. Another guy who was kind of a jack of all trades, used there. Special teams, inside, outside. There was a few times they even had him running in the backfield. So who actually kind of started on special teams before he made his break with Texas A&M. So those were my two comps. What do you think of those?
I love him. I absolutely love him. Like, and you said Landry's catch rate. Like, it kind of goes forgotten because of OBJ's wow factor and all that. But he was a guy at LSU. Yep. And he was a guy in the NFL. But I think he could still be a guy in the NFL. Some of these guys are getting paid, but I love it. I wrote I was already hearing through the Gamecocks community, like his comparisons were just slightly off speed with Shai Smith. So when you wrote Speedy Noel, I wrote that in the down. Like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. So you're right on with it, right there. So I didn't go ceiling or floor with this because I went with guys with it wasn't much for me to see. Like in the spring game, he just had that one big catch, or like a diving catch. That was really all he had. So everything I saw was this Greenville tape. So I went with guys in what I feel he could be and what he could produce in college. All right, and they ended up in the end getting high, being drafted to the NFL, but we'll get there in a second. I went Anthony Miller, right, wide receiver out of Memphis. In 2 big seasons for him his junior senior year, he had 190 receptions, 2,800 yards, and 32 touchdowns. He ended up being a second-round pick in the NFL. And then Kendall Wright, okay, now he was probably one of the last Baylor receivers I had faith in, okay. He had some production in the NFL, but that's when I started to be like, oh man, I just don't know. And then Mims killed me again. But at Baylor, he had 186 receptions, 1,800 yards, and 21 touchdowns in 2 seasons. He ended up getting drafted 20th overall. Now he had it was a small sample size in the NFL. I think it was only like 3 or 4 years. Tennessee, and I believe it was another team that he played for. And obviously things didn't work out, but his college production, and same thing with Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller bounced around a couple of teams. Chicago, he had a cup of coffee. I think he actually had a decent season. He played in Pittsburgh as well. But right in college in Miller, they were just dominant. You know what I mean? And I have a funny feeling like their type of game where they played special teams, and even in the NFL, they both played special teams, got them on the field. They were dominant wide receivers. They kind of moved all over the field. They could play outside, play inside. I think that he has that style of game. Now, could he be better than them? Yes, there's room for him to grow. But I think at college level and that production, you give me that production in college right now, you're looking at a top 15 wide receiver at the end of the day, especially in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Anthony Miller comp. Like you said, I wouldn't have even thought of him, but somehow I could pull Speedy Noel. But when he was at Memphis, extremely underrated. They used him in every sort of aspect in that offense. I mean, he was the main reason why Memphis was a top team his senior year. So, yeah, I love that comp.
Yeah. So, again, we're going to be going to a new lineup. We'll release that probably after 4th of July. We'll be getting into the next 4 guys. But if you CFB Nation, I'm Nino Brown. That's my guy, Dino. This is Devy Darlings. We out.
Out.